Hey there friends, welcome back to another Dinkum video. Alright everyone, start your engines and leave all your competitors in the dust. Welcome friends to another Dinkum build. This one's interesting. It challenged me in ways that I did not think possible. It is probably one of the harder builds that I have attempted in Dinkum, and you might be thinking, that seems a little odd for you. This one twisted my brain up more than I'd like to admit, and well, you know what? Let's just take a look. Here we are on Catalina Speedway. I had the idea for this build when the new glowing path kind of came out in the game. I thought it might be kind of fun to make a racetrack out of that. And then I got to thinking about how, you know, sometimes down here in the South, they race lawnmowers for fun. You know, we're weird that way. Don't worry about it. Look, the doggos are trying to get some tickets to come on in. Anyway, I want to take you on a little tour of this build, and you guys can be the judge of, you know, whether you think it was difficult or not. Here, they're going to take your tickets to come on in and watch the races, and then you're immediately going to come on over. You got a little seating area, but then you've got your concession stand, because you're definitely going to want to get your drinks and your snacks before you go and watch the big race. And it looks like here somebody didn't quite make it into the bathroom. What are you going to do? I built this building to where it would accommodate like what I would imagine to be vending machines and like, you know, those little claw machines, things like that at any kind of place like this. You know, all the little tchotchke type stuff that you would see for sale. And of course you've got the public restrooms. It's a little tight in there, a little tight squeeze, but we managed to make it all work. And then over here is going to be our sign that you saw there at the beginning. But this is our winner's circle. I decided to put a golden riding lawnmower up here on a platform with some trophies and these on fire lanterns from the hot. Oh, those poor dogs are chasing this poor kangaroo. It's a whole other race in and of itself, but we'll let them do their thing. I think I should probably show you what the map looks like before we actually go on a walking tour of this area. Well, if you didn't already know it was a racetrack, here you are. I gotta say, trying to build in a square tile game and make curves and circles is probably one of the more challenging things I have had to do, and that is why this particular build is one of my harder ones. I started and stopped this one so many times. I had to lay down pathing in several different combinations of width and whatnot to kind of get exactly what I was looking for, and that is why I did not do a step-by-step build on this one. It was a mess. I would start, I'd get going, and then I'd be like, nope, this is wrong, and I'd have to take it all up. One of the things I really wanted to do, kind of something that inspired me, was Rainbow Road from Mario Kart. I'm sure any of you who are hardcore gamers have played. Who hasn't played Mario Kart, right? So I wanted to kind of mimic that a little bit, but I also wanted to have several levels. And I knew I wanted it to be like a figure 8 shape, so that the tractors would come up here and they would kind of wind their way through a foresty area. And you've got some spectators here enjoying a little bit of a tailgate kind of situation. And then you've got nature all around with some waterfalls, water features. And then it comes down here again back to ground level. And then you finish out your circuit. Not exactly NASCAR where you're driving in a circle, but you know, similar. I've got some spectators up here in the stands. I knew I wanted to have people watching, and I almost got OCD enough to put a single, like a mannequin in every single spot. But then I would have to dress all of them. And I don't know about you, but dressing the mannequins can get a little tedious. But I put down some big fan foam fingers. I decided to make the stands out of this iron. You know, a lot of stadiums have the bleachers and the metal, and I was trying to capture that with these grandstands, or whatever you want to call them. So they're watching the race from a couple of different angles. I played around with putting some stands in the corner over here, and then also a little further around the sides over here. I just kind of ran out of room, and also I just didn't want there to be a big grandstand area in all these different spots. I felt like it made sense for these areas, but nowhere else. And then of course you've got a secondary concession stand over here for the people, you know, who don't want to walk over to the other one. And it is set up very similar, but still a little different. So you get a little variety. It's kind of hard to see in there camera angle wise, but you know, restroom concessions, you've seen them. And then over here is where we have our storage for our racing vehicles. Now, I do plan to utilize in a live stream at some point in the future a race with my friends where you pick your poison. Do you want the trike? Do you want the ride-on mower? Do you want the motorcycle? And they get to decide. And I wanted to put these back here in kind of a garage, you know, where they're stored when the races aren't happening, and you've got like a work area with, you know, traffic cones and different things that you would have to, you know, make repairs on your mower or your motorcycle or your unicorn trike. Who's ready to watch us race, right? Also, I laid down this colored glowing pathing that's came out in the recent summer update. And I really, really like it for this. I played around with, you know, several combinations of things. And I landed on this because I thought it looked the cleanest, yet also had that fun color vibe. It really made a more festive sort of look with what was going on. And then, of course, you know, threw out some festoon buntings and the stars to really like, hey, this is a race and we're going to have some fun. And then at night, with the spotlights, it really showcases this area. I also built up a faux wall/fence. So that way, you know, this area felt more private, and eventually over here we will put in a parking lot and probably a tailgate party or something over there. But for now, this is what we have going. And I did leave a lot of empty space. I did not fill all the spaces. I feel like, you know, in an actual speedway, there would be places like that where there was not just stuff everywhere, and that on a day where there was not a crowd watching a race, you know, you didn't have to fill every single space. I feel like that's a challenge for a lot of us. It's like, oh, I've got to put something here. I've got to make something fit. Look at all this room. And it doesn't look bad because of what we've got going on here. Also, I utilized these new street lamps that came out a couple updates ago. I thought they looked the best and fit the best with the theme of this little racetrack we have. And then I used some flags. I wish they came in all the colors because I really kind of don't want to do like a rainbow theme. But, you know, you work with what you got. And then back here, we have a VIP area. People in kind of the skybox, if you will. This is kind of what that is. Watching the race from up here and really taking in the sights. And they can really, you know, kind of get in on the camera action. You know, broadcast, televise it, whatever. And then, of course, they've got their own little spread of food that's a little nicer than the concessions. So we figured a VIP area would be, you know, on point. But let's take a look at this entire build at nighttime. I actually think I like this build better at night. You've got all the colored floor lights really adding to a colorful vibe with the glowing path floor. It really kind of brightens up the area and makes it a little bit more fun and a little less serious. Almost like you could have a disco here as well. I like the spotlights on the tractor down there for the winner's circle, and really kind of showcases this area from a distance. It's like, hey, there's some spotlights up in the sky. What is that? And then you've got the area back here, all lit up. Soft glow of the floor lights, plus, you know, some of the street lamps really illuminating one specific area. Give you a slightly more detailed look there. You got the kangaroo crossing, or Roo crossing, as it were. But I liked that in, you know, a lot of Mario Kart tracks, you've got elevated levels up and down. You've got some nature sometimes. You've got more industrial, urban areas. And I wanted to kind of bring the inspiration of Mario Kart to Dinkum and have a nice little tractor / motorcycle / unicorn trike race. What do y'all think? I think this, I mean, I was really proud of myself once I got it all worked out and I got the track down. That was the first thing I worked on, and I think that took the longest out of everything I did here. Boy, it took forever. Really getting that the math to math, you know what I mean? And I debated over and over about whether I should put grass or pathing down. If you were to build something similar, I would be curious to see what everybody else does. Everybody else puts their own spin on things. But this is what it looks like. And I think we need to get a shot from the air. It's also pretty impressive from the helicopter. And here we have it from the sky. I think it looks a little bit more impressive from up here. I hope it looks impressive just in general. This was a labor of love for me, for sure. I really struggled to make it look good in my head, the vision that I had, plus actually making the logistics of it work out. And I did not do any terraforming here, guys. This was what was here. Except for out here in the main area, I think I took it down a level out in this particular spot, but not by much. There was not a lot of terraforming happening because I wanted to kind of work with the terrain. That's kind of been a challenge of mine these last several builds, is to work with what we have with minimal terraforming, and it's worked out really well. And I think this area really thrives because of it. You've got this nature area kind of preserved, but then you've got this cool, energetic speedway / race, energy. Definitely something different than I've ever done before, and I really, really enjoy how this turned out. So I hope all of you have enjoyed looking at this as well. Well, there you have it, folks. That is my take on a racetrack, speedway, whatever word you want to use for here in Dinkum. I'm really, really pleased with how this turned out. This is definitely different than my normal builds. I'm much more of an architecture type of gal, and this definitely it really challenged the old noodle. And I was really glad to do it because it really puts me in a different thinking pattern and gets me, it challenges me to do things a little differently from time to time. I hope that has been inspiring for you. And if you ever need any help trying to figure this out, I'll do my best to try to give you the width and dimensions as needed for something that might work for you on your island. I would appreciate, though, if you would hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you come along on the journey with us. And we do have memberships available, starting at 99 cents, where you have special members-only content, vlogs, pictures, videos, and live streams. So come on and join the fun. All right, guys, I hope you liked this one. I hope you're inspired. I hope you race right on out and build your own racetrack for Dinkum. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and I'll catch you in the next one.